Hello and welcome back to another week of the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero. And this week, I wanted to just share with you some things that have been going on in my life, in my world. And as you know, I've always been very transparent. And you probably also have noticed that I have not released a new podcast in several weeks. So I wanted to tell you all about what has been happening. So you may or may not know that about almost 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with lupus nephritis. And that was in late 2006. And since then, I have been feeling really good. I changed my diet, became gluten-free. I have done so many things in terms of balancing my hormones, correcting any nutritional deficiencies I had. I mean, I've really been very on the ball with my health. I initially had a rheumatologist. I have not had a rheumatologist in at least, almost this whole time, except for initially when I was initially diagnosed and I was hospitalized. So I've been taking care of myself, getting blood work every few months, and really being on top of my health. And I had started noticing that earlier this year, like around March, my kidney functions had begun to slowly decline. And at first I really, blamed it on working too much. I'm working so much. It was flu season. It was seeing, over 50 patients by myself during a 12-hour shift, no lunch type of thing. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? And that's actually when I started to decrease my hours and just started focusing on my own practice. So, and let me just backtrack and say that I work at an urgent care center part-time now. But at the time I was working there full-time and trying to grow my practice. So I decreased my hours and thought, you know what, I'm just going to not work so much and not work so hard right now. And then early summer came and I was traveling a lot. It was about 6 weeks worth of travel, including conferences, conventions, and a trip to Europe. I don't know if you were following me on Instagram, you saw that I was in Italy for a workshop and I went to go visit family in Spain. So when I came back, I checked my lab work again, my kidney functions, and they further continued to decline. At this point, I again thought, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm so exhausted from those 6 weeks. I mean, those 6 weeks of travel really threw me for a loop. I mean, I've never been so tired. It was just, aside from feeling tired, there was no other symptoms and no other urinary symptoms, nothing. I was feeling okay in that way. So late summer rolls around and I check my kidney functions again and they're declining even more. So I go and make an appointment to see my nephrologist, who the last time I saw her was, I don't see her often. So the last time I saw her was maybe 2 years ago. And I made an appointment, went to see her. And I said, listen, this is insane. I don't know what's happening, but these numbers are really getting low here and I don't feel bad. So I'm really confused as to what's happening. So she immediately told me that I need to start researching different hospitals in the city or whatever hospital of my choice, and be evaluated by a kidney transplant team. Well, that is the thing that has scared me since the beginning of this whole thing. When I was initially diagnosed was, oh my God, because my initial nephrologist at the time had predicted that I'd be on the transplant list in 5 years. And now I was going on 12 years without being on the list. And I thought, oh my gosh, this nightmare of mine is now, it's come true. It's here. Holy shit. What this, I can't even, I couldn't grasp the concept, even though I've lived with this and I was feeling okay. I really was feeling okay. So lo and behold, I decide on a hospital. I go, spend almost the whole day there. 30 tubes of blood, nephrologist, surgeon, social worker. You name it, I saw them. Financial person, all part of this team. And one of my girlfriends went with me, who was actually going to be one of my donors, potential donors. So I thought, okay, well, I need to prepare for the worst, but I'm going to do everything I can to see what I can do about this. If anybody can, halt this or reverse this, it's going to be me. So, and I'm such a Taurus. I am very stubborn and I'm bullheaded and I am a rebel to the core of my being. So, I did all the things that I needed to do because I was trying to avoid dialysis. And they said, you know what, there are better outcomes if you do not have to be on dialysis. So I said, okay, well, let's go through all the steps. And I have 9 friends who said yes to being a live donor for me. Meanwhile, let me not forget to say that I cried for a couple of days over this whole thing. Yes, I did. I cried over it and I thought, oh my God, this can't be happening. I was in disbelief, sad and in disbelief. So I did all the things that I needed to do. And one with the kidney transplant team, and also trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. Making the big ask for a kidney. I can't believe I had 9 beautiful souls that said yes to giving me an organ of theirs. Can you believe this? It's just a miracle in itself. So I also want to say, right before this was happening, I did a stool test. As a functional medicine practitioner, I have access to all this various testing. And I thought, oh my God, is it my lupus that's triggering this? And it's not. We did blood tests to see if it was a lupus flare, which I just couldn't believe it if it was, because I haven't had symptoms of a lupus flare. The last time was almost 12 years ago. And so, which was achiness, joint pain, muscle pain, I could hardly walk. That was a long time ago. And I wasn't feeling any of these things. So it was not a lupus flare. I have not had a lupus flare in almost 12 years, knock on wood. So I ended up doing a quick stool test, and from my travels or through eating sushi or whatever, I had gotten a parasite, and I was in the middle of, I had already treated myself for this, thinking, let me get rid of that. Maybe this is putting a burden on my kidneys. I don't know. Did this whole parasite thing, treatment, and felt like crap, which is another reason why I couldn't do the podcast. That made me so ill and sick to my stomach that it was just the worst. So anyway, I finished all of that and did the blood test again. And yes, it still wasn't good. So that's when the whole transplant team thing came into being. But I do want to say that I don't know how long I've had that parasite. The last time I did a stool test was at least a good year and a half ago, at least. So I could have gotten it from my travels. I mean, I eat sushi. I eat raw fish all the time. I'm a pretty adventurous eater, so I will eat almost anything. And I will try, and I eat raw shellfish and oysters and everything. Like I eat everything. So I don't know how long I've had this parasite, but I also had Giardia, which let me tell you, no symptoms. Okay. I did not have your typical symptoms of a parasite or Giardia, which is diarrhea and just feeling sick to your stomach. I had no symptoms, people. So I was very bewildered as to what was going on here. Okay, so I finished the whole thing at the hospital. I have my friends who are calling the hospital to set up times for them to go in to get their blood work to see if there's a match. This whole thing has to happen. Like they have to be the same blood type as me. They also have to match like 6 different antigens. So the more you match the antigens, the better the match. Okay, so I didn't know any of these things. I just learned all this. By the way, when I went in that day and I met the surgeon, he looked at me. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "You look amazing." And I said, "Exactly. I don't know what the hell." I said, "I wish this lab work was incorrect, but I guess it's not." And so I'm just here because I'm a little bit in disbelief, but to be honest with you, I guess I have to prepare for the worst. So that was it. And then about a day or two later, this was the end of October, I was doing all of this stuff with the hospital. A day or two later, one of my friends told me about the medical medium. And okay, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Don't stop listening to this right now. So now I'm open to different things, and I'm open to different healing modalities. I mean, I'm all over it, but I'm also very clinically based as well. And I want to see evidence and proof. And everything in my life has always been like, okay, well, I'm going to try this out first. And then I'm going to, before I say anything to patients of mine, whether it's supplements or a test or anything, I've always been the mad scientist. I've always tried everything first. So heard about medical medium, and I was like, what is this? And I listened to his kidney issue audio on SoundCloud. He's got many wonderful things on there. So I did, and I listened to everything. And he said something about celery juice and the reasons behind kidney issues. So it really resonated with me. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to try this. I'm going to try this because what else do I have to lose? Nobody else is telling me that I can do anything to make this better. Basically, they just want to do the transplant, and I feel okay. So I started feeling towards that day and after, I just started to feel really tired, and I was very short of breath when I would go to the gym, and I didn't want to push myself. There was no way I was going to push myself with anything because of how bad the kidney functions were at this time. So anyway, I do everything he says. This medical medium, Anthony Williams, and I do there's celery juice, and I borrowed a juicer from my friend. I'm like, you know what? Let me just try this. And I tried it, and I was loving it. And I started to notice some changes in my body. And I also incorporated, and so he was like, no fats, no proteins, like minimal proteins, and I had been on keto for a little while, probably a good, at least more than a month. More than a month. So I had stopped. There was a shake that I was doing. I stopped all of that. I had already stopped that shake, but I was still eating animal protein and all this other stuff. So I stopped everything, including eggs and dairy. So I pretty much became a vegan overnight, literally overnight, and began green juicing. So I gave back my friend the juicer, and I bought my own. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing this, because even if I get a transplant, I am going to want my new kidney to last as long as it can. So I am always going to be on the celery juice for the rest of my life. And there's no harm in that. So, and that's where it sort of all began. The green juice, the celery juice in the morning, and then like an overnight vegan. And thank God I had some vegan. I couldn't believe how many vegan cookbooks I had on my shelf. So I relied on those, and I also got Medical Medium had his several recipes on his website. So that all began early November, like November 2nd. I just got my labs done 2 days ago. Myself. I get my own lab tests done, and I didn't go to the hospital. Because first of all, they didn't tell me anything about my last labs. I don't know what it showed. And I hate not knowing, because I'm so hands-on. And so I had my own lab test done 2 days ago. I just got back with the result yesterday. And the improvements are profound. I am happy, and now I'm not out of the woods. Okay, I'm not out of the woods, but my inflammation decreased by half. There are numbers of my kidney functions that have never been so good. And I look back since 2000, and at least going back to 2012, it's never been at this number before in the past 6 years. As in, like, it was very good. So I'm going to continue doing my celery juice in the morning, and I'm going to continue being vegan, because I actually don't mind it, and I'm not hungry at all. I had this, idea in my mind that I needed animal protein in order to survive, in order to not, unless I was going to be, I thought that I would be starving, and I'm not. And my body craves. It literally was 12 days in, and my lab work has changed. And it's just the best feeling in the world. So I wanted to just share this with you, because I wanted you to know what was happening with me. I am not in, I want to say that I do not feel scared if I need to go and get this surgery done ultimately, but I am trying my damnedest right now to kind of turn things around, maybe delay things a little, since I actually still feel really good, and actually better than before. And I still go to the gym, and I notice that I am not short of breath anymore. And I am doing so much detoxing right now, including infrared saunas. I do Epsom salt baths. I do the dry brushing. Those two things I was still always doing. The infrared sauna I had stopped in March because I didn't want to do it. it was going to be warmer weather. And I thought, oh, I don't want to sit in this like infrared sauna thing during the summer. But I had been doing it consistently for a good year or two. And now I'm back to doing it, and also back to doing like a hot yin yoga. So like a gentle yoga in a hot room, which my body loves heat. So I'm just giving my body what it really wants and craves. And I do not feel like, I don't crave any sugar at all, or like big time like desserts like I used to. Dairy, I use almond cheese made from almonds. Actually, it melts really nice, and so I'm loving it. And so I don't feel like I'm really missing out. And quite honestly, if I can avoid this transplant to be all together, that would be just amazing. Just amazing. So, what I was going to say was that I am no longer feeling like, I was very upset initially. Like, how could this happen? I can't believe this. Why is this happening to me right now? I cried about it for sure. And then I surrendered to the whole thing, to whatever it was that I was supposed to be learning from this, whatever it is that the next step in my path is supposed to be. And I completely surrendered to it. And I said, you know what? If this is the next step, and if I'm supposed to be learning something from this, then I accept it all. I accept everything. So I'm in that place of surrender. But let me tell you, I'm drinking the celery juice and feel pretty happy, feeling very good. And I don't know what the future holds, obviously, but I am doing what I can and feeding my body really good things and doing tons of veggies. Basically, I'm eating just veggies, little to no protein. I'll do like maybe a tahini dressing when I make tahini dressing, which has been my favorite thing in the whole world. And my celery juice, I don't know, it kind of keeps me satiated for some reason. So I wanted to let you in on this. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Margaret Romero, and see, I was really quiet there for a while because I was going through this whole thing. But I'm back on Instagram, and sometimes I will show what I'm cooking, what I'm making, and the green juice or celery juice. So if you want to head over there, if you're not following me already, to see what happens, and I will keep you posted. And I'm also going to start doing the podcast back up again, because at first I thought, oh God, I just can't do anything right now. And my focus was on my body and my health. And yes, it still is my body and my health. Absolutely. It is the number one thing. I have rested more in this past 2 weeks than I have in 10 years. I kid you not. I don't necessarily watch that much TV. It's rare, like if the TV is on in the background, but I'm usually working, or I'm on my computer, or I'm opening up mail, or I'm organizing, or I'm doing something. But for me to sit down on a weekend and watch a movie and sit on my couch, never happened. That shit never happens until this whole thing happened to me. And I was like, I really need to rest. I need to start resting more. Like, what the hell? So I just started doing the whole Netflix thing, which, okay, I am totally behind on this whole Netflix thing because I just don't watch Netflix at all. And now I'm hooked. So I'm not a couch potato, but I will make intentional rest, and I'll enjoy Netflix and sit there with like a hot cup of tea and watch it and just allow myself to not work so much. But I will be back bringing you some more podcasts. It may not be every single week, but I definitely wanted to just keep you posted, my listeners, and let you know what's been happening with me, and, just share this with you. And if you are going through anything like this and you're curious as to what I'm doing, just Google the medical medium and kidneys SoundCloud and listen to what he says about kidneys when you have issues with your kidneys. I've listened to almost every single one. He's amazing. He's funny as heck. I don't know where he's from. He sounds very East Coast. But I love him. Listen, I think that I'm open to it. No one, okay, let me just tell you, no one, it would have done this for me, or my nephrologist wasn't like, listen, you need to start cleaning up your diet a little more because your kidneys are suffering, or stop eating all that cheese and all of that comfort food, which I must admit, I definitely was. And though I was gluten-free, I certainly was having, I definitely indulge and, still having martini here and there, coffee here and there. I do not do any of that right now at all. No alcohol, no coffee, no protein, no keto, zero keto. Oh my God, keto was probably the worst thing for me and my little kidneys, and definitely not doing any animal protein at all. So, and I'm feeling really good. So I'm going to keep you posted, and I'll be checking in with you, but also follow me on Instagram. And if you're not, that's where I will be. So much love, many blessings to all of you, wherever you are in this world. And if you're going through any chronic illnesses, check out the medical medium. I just got a couple of his books, and it's just amazing and eye-opening beyond. Let me tell you, as a practitioner who's been trained through an Ivy League school, I am completely amazed by his gift. It has just been, ultimately, it could be a lifesaver for me. And so I trust that. I trust that he came into my life for a reason, that my friend told me that for a reason, that I needed to clean up my diet for a reason. Things happen for a reason, and I trust it all, and I surrendered to it all. But let me tell you, I am also not sitting on my couch crying about it. I am juicing the heck out of those calories. All right. Many blessings, and I will talk to you all really soon. Much love and a big hug. Bye for now.